Welcome to the Zombie Story Zone, where nightmares come to life and survival hangs by a thread. In today's chilling story, Zombie Virus, the Rogue Scientist's Apocalypse. The line between science and madness is shattered when a disgraced scientist unleashes a deadly virus upon the world. Humanity is plunged into a fight for survival. Can a group of survivors defy the odds and end the nightmare? Or will the undead consume everything in their path? Before we begin, remember to hit the like button if you crave spine-tingling tales. Subscribe and press the bell icon to ensure you never miss a story that will keep you up at night. Share this story with those who dare to walk the dark path with us. Leave your feedback in the comments. Your voice helps shape the future of the Zombie Story Zone. Prepare yourself for a descent into terror. This is Zombie Virus, the Rogue Scientist's Apocalypse.
We'll survive tonight. From the graveyards to the streets, hear the whispers low. Every story's a thrill.
In a dimly lit lab deep in the heart of a desolate industrial park, Dr. Victor Kraus worked feverishly, his movements precise yet frenzied. The air was thick with the acrid smell of chemicals and the hum of outdated machinery. On his cluttered workstation lay vials of ominous green liquid, their contents swirling like malevolent storms. This was no ordinary experiment. It was the culmination of years of clandestine research and unbridled ambition. Victor, a disgraced virologist once hailed as a genius, now sought infamy rather than accolades. Driven by a twisted vendetta against the world that had shunned him, Victor had created the virus he called necrohemus-9. It was a pathogen designed to infect the human brain, reanimating dead tissue and transforming its host into a mindless, violent predator. "They called me a lunatic," he muttered, his voice low and venomous. "They'll call me a god when the world bows to my creation." With a chilling sense of finality, Victor loaded a syringe with a luminous liquid. Holding it to the light, he whispered, "It begins now." The virus spread faster than anyone could have imagined. It began with a single infected rat. Victor released into the crowded subway of New York City. The rodent scurried unnoticed through the labyrinth of tunnels, biting unsuspecting passers-by. The first victims experienced flu-like symptoms within hours: fever, chills, and body aches. By the second day, the symptoms escalated to seizures, uncontrollable aggression, and ultimately death. But death was not the end, it was merely the beginning. The reanimated dead were ravenous and relentless, attacking the living with horrifying ferocity. News outlets dubbed them necros, their glowing green eyes a grim trademark of Victor's virus. The CDC scrambled to contain the outbreak, but the virus was unlike anything they had encountered. It spread not only through bites, but also airborne particles, making it nearly impossible to contain. Within days, major cities fell into chaos. Emma Hart, a paramedic in Manhattan, had witnessed the horror unfold firsthand. What began as a routine shift quickly spiraled into a nightmare. Calls flooded in about people collapsing in the streets, their bodies convulsing violently. Emma and her partner, Jake, rushed to the scene of one of the earliest outbreaks in a crowded shopping district. The scene was a cacophony of screams, shattering glass, and panicked cries for help. "What the hell is going on?" Jake muttered, his voice shaky as he gripped the steering wheel. Emma had no answer. As they pulled up, a man covered in blood lunged at their ambulance, his glowing green eyes locking onto Emma. She barely had time to react as the creature slammed against the windshield, snarling and clawing like a rabid animal. "Go, Jake, drive!" Emma screamed. Jake hit the gas, sending the creature tumbling off the hood. They sped through the chaos, narrowly avoiding overturned cars and fleeing pedestrians. Emma's radio crackled with frantic chatter from other first responders. "They're not human anymore," one voice shrieked. "Shoot them in the head, it's the only way to stop them." By the time Emma and Jake reached the hospital, it was overrun. The undead swarmed the building, breaking through barricades and dragging screaming victims into the growing horde. Realizing there was no help to be found there, Emma made the heartbreaking decision to leave. "We can't save them," she told Jake, her voice heavy with despair. "We need to think about surviving." Their ambulance became their sanctuary as they navigated the apocalyptic streets. The city they knew was unrecognizable skyscrapers burned. Cars lay abandoned, and the once bustling avenues were eerily silent, save for the distant moans of the undead. Victor watched it all unfold from his hidden lab, his face illuminated by multiple screens displaying live feeds of the carnage. He sipped a glass of red wine, savoring the chaos. "Beautiful," he murmured, as if admiring a masterpiece. But his triumph was short-lived. The virus began to mutate, spreading beyond his control. It infected animals, creating grotesque hybrids that were even more dangerous than their human counterparts. Packs of zombie dogs roamed the streets, their glowing eyes visible in the darkness. Birds carried the virus to remote areas, ensuring no place was safe. Emma and Jake joined forces with a small group of survivors, holed up in an abandoned fire station. Among them were Carlos, a former Marine with a grim determination to fight back, Sophia, a resourceful teenager who had lost her family, and Dr. Evelyn Moore, a virologist who had been working on a cure before the outbreak reached her lab. Together, they formed an uneasy alliance, united by their shared will to survive. Evelyn was their beacon of hope. She believed she could reverse the effects of the virus if she could access a well-equipped lab. But getting to one was a daunting challenge. The city was a death trap, and supplies were running low. "We can't stay here," Carlos said during one tense meeting. "The Necros are getting smarter. They're hunting in packs now. But where do we go?" Sophie asked, her voice trembling. "There's nowhere safe." "There might be," Evelyn interjected. "I've heard rumors of a secure research facility in upstate New York. If we can get there, I might be able to create a cure." Their journey to the facility was a harrowing odyssey. They faced relentless attacks from the undead, their numbers growing with each passing day. At one point, they were forced to abandon their vehicles and travel on foot through the decaying remnants of suburbia. Emma took charge, her paramedic skills proving invaluable in treating injuries and keeping morale high. She formed a close bond with Sophia, seeing the teenager as a surrogate younger sister. Carlos, with his military expertise, led their defensive efforts, while Jake provided much-needed levity with his dark humor. Evelyn, burdened by the weight of their hopes, worked tirelessly to analyze samples she collected along the way, jotting down notes in a battered notebook. Their most harrowing encounter came when they stumbled upon a horde blocking a narrow bridge, the only way to the facility. The group devised a risky plan to lure the Necros away using a makeshift noise device crafted from car alarms and a battery. Carlos volunteered to set the device, knowing it was a potential suicide mission. "I'll be fine," he assured them, his stoic facade betraying a flicker of fear. "Just be ready to run." The plan worked, but not without casualties. Carlos barely escaped the horde, suffering a deep bite to his arm. He insisted they leave him behind, knowing what would come next. "You have to go," he told Emma, handing her his rifle. "Finish this. Make it mean something." Devastated but resolute, the group pressed on. They reached the research facility, only to find it in ruins. The lab was ransacked, its equipment shattered. Evelyn collapsed to her knees, her hope extinguished. "It's over," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "No, it's not," Emma said, her voice firm. "We've come too far to give up now. We'll find another way." As they scavenged the wreckage, they discovered a hidden underground bunker. Inside, they found an operational lab and a cache of supplies. It was a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Evelyn got to work immediately, using the samples she had collected to develop a prototype cure. But time was running out. The Necros were closing in on their location. Victor, watching from his lab, had grown bored of his self-made apocalypse. He decided to escalate matters by releasing a new, more virulent strain of the virus. But his arrogance proved his undoing. One of his own infected hybrids turned on him, tearing through the lab and breaching containment. For the first time, Victor felt fear as he realized he had unleashed something even he couldn't control. In the bunker, Evelyn completed the first dose of the cure. It needed to be tested, but there was no time for trials. Emma volunteered, knowing the risks. "If it works, we can end this," she said, rolling up her sleeve. The injection was excruciating, her veins burning as the serum coursed through her body. She collapsed, writhing in agony. The others watched helplessly, fearing the worst. But then Emma's breathing steadied and her eyes opened. She was alive and immune, armed with the cure. The group devised a daring plan to distribute it using drones they found in the bunker. Evelyn programmed the drones to release aerosolized doses over infected areas. It was their last, desperate shot at saving humanity. As the drones took flight, the group prepared for a final stand against an overwhelming horde converging on the bunker. They fought with everything they had, knowing they were buying time for the cure to take effect. In the chaos, Jake was bitten, sacrificing himself to protect Sophia. "Tell my mom I died a hero," he joked weakly before turning his gun on himself. The loss was devastating, but there was no time to grieve. The drone's payloads worked faster than expected. The necros began to collapse, their glowing eyes dimming as the virus was neutralized. Across the city, survivors emerged from hiding, witnessing the turning tide. Victor's mutated strain, however, proved resistant to the cure. The hybrids continued to rampage, threatening to undo their progress. Emma, now immune, took on the task of hunting them.